Okay, good evening. We'll go through a little bit Hilchas Mezuzah, very important halachas. Nagaya for every house, every household, and quite complicated halachas too. So I assume that the people learn through more or less the Simonim, Reish by Haim till Reish by Tes, I assume. And we'll go over a little bit of the Mezuzah Kloli. There's a mitzvah aside to put a mezuzah. A mezuzah is basically, they write the posik, the parasha of Shemaim, Hoim Shemoya, and you put it on the door. And Chazal say it's a very important halacha. It says Gilaf Arichas Yomim, and anyone who is not Zor in them, is Rachmon al-Aslan Chas v'Sholom, is the opposite of Arichas Yomim. As we're going to see a little bit later, there's a chiv mezuzah to put on every door. There are some people who have misconception that you put only on the front door, but according to halacha, is as we pasken, you have to put a mezuzah on every door. Now, not every door is mechiv mezuzah. There are some doors which is a mechroikis apaskem, mechroikis rishonim. So you are going to put a mezuzah misofik, but you aren't going to make a bracha. Sufik bruchs lahukl. Whenever you have a sufik, when it comes to making a bracha, you are not making a bracha. But the chiv mezuzah is basically on every door. Why is the mitzvah of mezuzah? Because the Rebbeinu Shalom wanted when a person, these two parshas, when a person comes into his house, goes out of his house, you should basically remember of Achdas Hashem, since Achdas Hashem is the most important thing for a Yid. Therefore, when he goes into a house and goes out of his house, he should know and see Achdas Hashem. When you have to put in a mezuzah, we're going to see also later that it's choyves hadar. It's when you move in. When is considered moving in? But again, some will say once you put in stuff, or from then you count 30 days if it's a chitzloras, or in a tzroor right away. Some poskim will say only when you are sleeping over there. In any case, mitzvah esa is that you should have a mezuzah. Where do you put a mezuzah? Steht in Shulchan Aruch. You put it betefek hasumach achitzen. That means if you have a doorpost, which is 4, 5, 8 inches, you put it betefek hasumach achitz. Why is it like that? It's top short term. Two reasons why. First reason is because right away when you come into the house, you should come across the mezuzah. So therefore, right away in the beginning, the tefech, when you come into the doorpost, you should have a mezuzah. Another reason is because since we know that a mezuzah is a shmira, it's a shmira for the whole house. So we want every inch of the house should be included in the shmira. So therefore, you put it right away outside, that every inch should be a part of the shmira. The Ramu says that when a person goes into his house or comes out of his house, he should put his hand on the mezuzah. Doesn't say that you should kiss it, but it says that you should put the hand on the mezuzah. And you should say, Hashem yishmet tzayse ve'echem atvad oilam. Lamasa from the Arizal, it says that you should, the sites from Arizal that he used to kiss the mezuzah too, not only putting the hands. By the way, the Rebbe used to put the hand and kiss it, but from the Arizal it says that you should kiss the mezuzah too. Now, but pashtus, like the Shlu, the other person say that means you should poshet go and kiss the mezuzah itself. But other achronim say that if you put a hand on it and you kiss your hand, that's also good enough. Lamasa, that's the minig oilim. Other points can make fun of it. It's as if you kiss your hand. But Lamaisa, that's the minig oilim, that you put your hand and you kiss the mezuzah. Which hand you put? The right hand. And from Arizal it says you should put the middle finger, which is called the Ummah. This finger you should put on the mezuzah. That should touch basically the mezuzah. As you mentioned before, you have to put it b'teifach hasumach b'chitz. And but just mention, it's not ma'akev. There are things when you put the mezuzah and it's not correct, it's as if you didn't put a mezuzah. It's ma'akev. But there are some halachas which is not ma'akev. For instance, if you put a mezuzah very low, it's as if you didn't put a mezuzah. But this, although it says you should put b'teifach hasum al-chitz, if you placed it inside, that means in the mashka, but more inside, it's not ma'akev b'di eved. Okay, so which apartments, which rooms, what kind of house is mechiv b'mezuzah? Now it says, ich saftem al mezuzahs by sechu ivisharechu. You should put a mezuzah on the mezuzahs, that means the doorpost of by sechu ivisharechu. So the halacha is that you put a mezuzah on all the doors, a house door, or shar chatzayres, vachotzer, a Medina or a town which has, for instance, a mechitza all around, and you're going in, like in the old city of Yerushalayim, you're going in through a shar, is mechiv b'mezuzah. Now there's a mechloekes aposkem, if a shar chatzayres, it's a chiv atzmi, because the chotzer is mechiv b'mezuzah, or it is because through the chotzer you're going to the house. So the chilik will be, if you're going into a chotzer itself, which has the mechitza and has a doorpost, has the mezuzahs in a mashkef, if the chiv is only because you're going into a house, this doesn't have a house, it's potem min a mezuzah. Other Rishonim say no. Shar chatzayres is a chiv atzmi. So if you have a chotzer, which is basically a thing which is a chotzer which you use, then you have to put a mezuzah, even though it doesn't bring you into a house to something else. That means it doesn't bring you into a house which is b'chi b'mezuzah. Lamasa, since we have a machloekes in it, so you are going to put a mezuzah on a chotzer which doesn't have a house, only without a bracha. Because again, since we have a machloekes in the shoynim, we have to put a mezuzah, because according to some shoynim you machiev, but you are not going to make a bracha on it. Bechlal, you have to realize each of you will go through their house and they'll see, I would say 50-60% of the rooms are not machiv mezuzah according to chol hadayis. So therefore, before you place mezuzahs on your new house and you want to make a bracha, you should go through the house and see which room is machiv mezuzah the chol hadayis, and then you make a bracha, and then you put all other mezuzahs after you make that bracha. Because as we're going to see, if a door does not have, if a what is it called, a passage does not have a door, according to the Rambam, it's potem in a mezuzah. There's all kinds of things which we were going to say that takes away the chiv mezuzah, the chol hadayis. So therefore, before you put a mezuzah, you have to make sure that you have a place which is mechiv l'chol hadayis. Sometimes you're coming in, people put on the first mezuzah out of the house, in front of the house, and then over there they make the bracha, and then they are going to make put on the other mezuzahs. But sometimes the front door is not mechiv mezuzah l'chol hadayis, because it might go into a small room, doesn't have dalat, goes into other sibas. So again, you have to make sure before you make put a mezuzah and you want to make a bracha on it, it should be l'chol hadayis mechiv mezuzah. if you have a chutzah, which basically is surrounded, a yard, which is surrounded with gates, and it doesn't go to any house, as we mentioned before, it's machlokas rishonim, if it's mechiber mezuzah, since it doesn't have a house in which you go in. But that's only if that chutzah is there is some kind of ishtamshus. You use it, you store things there or whatever. If it's only a nice piece of land with grass and you sit there to get some fresh air, that goes into the gather of gina, which a gina is potem mezuzah. So therefore, when we say shara chutz and mechiber mezuzah, that's only a chutzah which you have some kind of shtamshus. Now, since the Torah says ich saftem al mezuzah by sechel, in order it should be mechiber mezuzah, it has to be a bayis. A bayis means a place which is a choshev place. Now, if you have a room which is basically a toilet, a men's room, or whatever it should be, it's a bayis, has dalat. Yeah, today's day they build fancy, beautiful bathrooms, but it's not a bayis, it's a choshev. Therefore, it is potem mezuzah, because bayis means bayis choshev, and therefore the Machaba says that we're going to see some places is mechiber mezuzah. For instance, a person has where he has cows, he has animals nowadays. In Shulchan Aruch Beit, Refes Buker, a stable which you have cows, or lulim, that means where you have chickens, it is mechiber mezuzah, machaber. Machaber says mechiber mezuzah. But the Achronim say that was only in once upon a time that it was more clean. They used to work in that places and it was more clean. So therefore, there was a difference between a Refes Buker and the toilet. The toilet is mechiv potem mezuzah chaladais. Refes Buker, zug de machaber is mechiber mezuzah. So although it gets dirty because the Buker do whatever they need to do, but since it was a place that they used to clean it, they used to keep it clean, it is mechiber mezuzah. Versus a beisakisai is a mitzad atzma, the etzem beisakisai or beisamerchetz is not a place which is not called bayis, and therefore it's potem mezuzah. But today's day, the Achronim say that today's day, which a person has cows, the stable of cows or whatever, I don't know if it's called stable, it's called whatever, the farm cows or lulav tanagoylam is very dirty and has a big smell, and it's always, so therefore today's day, we are not putting in a mezuzah even in such a case. But we need to have a room which is a mechibedige room, a chovedige room. That's why a beisamerchetz, even it's not a beisakisa, beisamerchetz is also not a room which is called mechibed, and it's poter b'mezuzah. Then the Machaba says, oitzres yain v'sheiman is och mechiber mezuzah, which means if you have a pantry or you have a big room which you store over there food, that's mechiber mezuzah. Again, why? Because that's called bayis. It's a part of a shtamshus of the house. Whatever is a shtamshus of the house is called a bayis. Now, what's about a walk-in refrigerator? Is there a walk-in refrigerator also mechiber mezuzah? Is it like a pantry, a walk-in closet pantry, which is mechiber mezuzah if it has the sheet? What is if you have a walk-in closet in yeshivas, in schools, which is basically a big dalat room? Are you mechiber mezuzah or not? Now over here you have a machlokas. Again, there's a lot of machlokas when it comes to these halachas, and therefore we are machbar always when there's a machlokas to put a mezuzah, but you don't make a bracha. What is the machlokas? Some people will say, some poskim will say that it is a beis oitzer. Since a beis oitzer, the Machaber says oitzer siyayim, oitzer shemen is a beis oitzer mechiber mezuzah. So what's the difference if it's a refrigerator? It's a beis oitzer. You keep up their stuff. But the other poskim say that it's not clear. It's not so poshet. And by the Moshe, the B'Sinarov wants to say that it has to be a room which you could live. That means in a pantry, a big pantry, you could live. You could put it in a bed, and you can sleep there. But in a walk-in closet, in a walk-in refrigerator, you cannot sleep. A person cannot sleep in a refrigerator. You know, you go into it, it's cold. It's good taka to keep food, but it's not a place which you could say it's a buy that it's a thing that you could live there, and therefore the Bretzin Rufa Meir Moshe and other poskim Chai Alayvi, other poskim say it's not clear that it's Mechiba Mezuzah, and therefore you should put a Mezuzah, but again, you should not make a bracha because it is a machloikas that if it is Mechiba Mezuzah or not. Now, again, the Mechaber Pastens, Oitzes Yain, Oitzes Shemen is Mechiba Mezuzah, and we make a bracha. Now we know Shittas Rambam is that a Oitzer is not Mechiba Mezuzah. So there are a minority of poskim which want to say that since there is a Rambam which says that you should not make, you don't need to put a mezuzah on a oitzer of yain. Therefore, we are not mechiyev to put. We should not make a bracha on oitzer yain, no oitzer shemen. But most other poskim say that a shitta which is not brought down in Shulchan Aruch, we don't have to consider it, and we can make a bracha even for oitzer yain, oitzer shemen. So therefore, again, if you can have other room which you could make a bracha over there, which is mechiba chaladais, that's haraitov, make it over there and then put on the pantry. But if you don't have other room, only a pantry, since most poskim say that in the mechaber pastors like this, it doesn't bring any other posik, it doesn't bring the Rambam, that it's potter, so therefore you can make a bracha even on a oitzra. Then the mechaber says that Beisa Isha is mechiba mezuzah. What's the chiddush? The chiddush is, although a mezuzah is mitzvah esher she'ein zman geruma, I'm sorry, that's the nekida. Since a mezuzah is a mitzvah esher she'ein zman geruma, therefore women are mechiyav with the same with a mezuzah the same as a man. Now, when a lady lives together with a husband, that's not a chiddush because it's basically the husband's house, and therefore it's his chiyuv. Now over here we talk about even if she lives. A woman live for themselves, they live in their own house, then she's mechiba mezuzah. If she lives with the husband, it's the husband's chiyuv, it's not her mechiv, because she's tofel le'abal. Then the mechaber says, beis hashutfim, that a person has a shutaf, two people own a house, and they live together, the mechiba mezuzah. Why? Because the Torah says, Lema'an yirbu yameichem. Yirbu is a lashon rabim, and therefore we see, even if it's two people own the same house, it is mechiba mezuzah, and anyone can put the mezuzah. Nobody can. The other shituf cannot be moicha on it, and you could force that he should be mishtatev also in the mezuzah, since it is also his chiyuv. If a person has a shit of a goy, a yid and a goy are shit from, is the mechaber says that it's potter from a mezuzah, because one part belongs for a goy, and therefore it is potter to put a mezuzah. But that's only if they live together in one room, they dorm together. But then the yid and the goy basically are apart. A shutfus in that buys. If the shutfus in a house and everybody has a separate room, to move on, as the yid is mechiv to put the mezuzah in his room, and the goy is mechiv to put is in that room which the goy sleeps is not mechiv. Even the yid is not mechiv, although he owns also that room. But since that's the goy's room, he should put in his room, and the goy in the room of the goy is put in a mezuzah. If they live in one room, then that is what the mechaber means, that Yisroel v'goy, which live in one room, is put him in a mezuzah. Because it says, Lema'an yirbi yameichem, and that's only for a yid. Ribi yameichem, that's only for a yid. So therefore, that excludes when it's a shitfus of Yisroel and a goy. Now, let me just make it clear, that's the remove. That's the shittus remove. The mechaber itself holds that beis hashitfim is mechiba mezuzah, and that's even if the goy shittiv is a goy. And as the Bes Yosef brings it down in the Bes Yosef, made the Gabayis, that's the Shittas Rambam, the Rashba, and we pass like that. So a Svardisher will put, even if he has a roommate. But Lamaisa was the reason of the Mechaber, the Rashba, because since it's Choyves Hadar and it's your house, and it's a Yid's house which needs Shmira, so therefore, although a Goy is also some kind of Shittaf, you're still Mechibe Mezizah. But Lamaisa the Remu passes like the other Rishonim, they're not Mechibe Mezizah, and therefore, again, in such a case, we won't make a bracha on such a room. Another interesting thing is, which the Eiyer writes, the Eiyer says that even the Remu, which says that if a Yid and a Goy are shutfim, then it's like the Remu says, it's potem and amazizah. That's only if it's a room which is only dalat adalat. If it's a bigger room, and basically you could divide the room, it has 8 and 8, and you could divide the room that you could basically make half a room should be a Yid, and half a room should be a Goy. So then it's only then, bias, sheyesh bedin chalika, yeah, then we say that goes into the remote that basically it's potem and amazizah. But if it's einboy din chalika, so then we say, so what? In let's say 1 week, a Goy lives, or the 1 chodesh Goy lives, or the 1 week a Yid lives, then in such a case, it is mechibe amazizah because we say braira. And now I'm saying the halachas because we might think that's not Nagaya, but it is Nagaya. This halacha could be a practical halacha when you have two brothers, which was basically from one father. One is a Jewish kid, one is not a Jewish kid, and both own the house. So it's not ugefregt die sheas shashala that abais sheyesh b'shitva v'yisrul v'goy. Now, first of all, you're going to think who lives with a goy, but again, if you have siblings, which Rahman, one is a Yid, one is a Goy, so therefore it could be a Shaykh, this should be a halacha, which is Negaya. Then the Mechaber says, by Satevim, by Sa'aitzim, by Sabuker is Mechibe Mezizah. And if the women wash themselves, they take their bath in that room, then since they are basically not betznias over there when they wash themselves, so you don't put a mezuzah over there. Now, is lav dafka a beis hateven and beis haboker? It is only then that time used to be like that the women had their bathtub in this kind of room. So the Chroim say even it's a regular room in your house, you have a regular room, and even it doesn't have a toilet. It's only a shower or a bathtub. The room goes into that category, and it's not a covet to put a mezuzah over there. Now, it's interesting to note that the lashon of the Mechaber is ein kuvod liyisham mezuzah. It doesn't say it's potem and a mezuzah. When we're going to talk about a toilet, a beis hakisai, the lacha is potem and a mezuzah. Over here, we don't say it's potem and a mezuzah. It says ein kuvod liyisham mezuzah. And by the way, it doesn't mean women, it could be also men. If it's a room which men take showers, since they are sitting over there when they're undressed, it's not a cover you should have a mezuzah, and therefore you shouldn't put a mezuzah. But it's not a thing that it's also to put a mezuzah, and you should, it's not a cover. So in a case which basically it is no problem to mitzat cover, for instance, let's say if there's the door, which the door is inside, and the mezuzah post is outside, so therefore you could put a mezuzah over there. It is only the reason because it is a room which people will stand uncovered, not with sneers. So therefore, it's not a kavod shamayim. So over there, if it's a way that it won't happen, this door is inside, or if it's a way that you could put a cover on it, which basically it's not a see-through cover, because a see-through cover, we have a klal in halacha and orachaim, erve bashishis is still a erve. But if it's a cover which is a cover which is not a glass cover, so then you can put a mezuzah over there. If it has a toilet, then it's part of a mezuzah b'chlal. But if it doesn't have a toilet, then that's something else. Why am I stressing this? Because there are some rooms which, especially people which have houses which has children. So some houses have the men's room, the toilet is inside, and in front of the toilet there's a big room, and over there it's a counter, and they have a big sink, a big thing, which over there you will basically give a bathtub for a child, small child, they give it over there. Now this is exactly what we're talking. It's not a toilet, it's not a basic inside, but it's only of Indian of its needs. Now if the door is inside and the mezuzah is outside, which most of the houses today will be this way, because it opens dehlektal towards inside, therefore you should put a mezuzah. Or if it's a way that you could cover it, that it shouldn't be a matzav that the children should be uncovered in front of the mezuzah, that means you put it in the mezuzah in a nice cover, which is covered, it's not a glass, you should put a mezuzah. And it's things which is masim chalyon. People will think, since in this room, from this room, you're going into a toilet, this is part of mezuzah. No, this room, if it has a shear mechiv, it has a shear, although you wash over there a child, it still goes into the gather of a, the only reason is because I'm covered of to put a mezuzah, and therefore in such a case, you should put a mezuzah over there also. A bedroom, which, a master bedroom, which the husband and wife are sleeping over there, is mechiv mezuzah. But again, you got to do peilas that it is be bechova, because after all, sometimes it can happen that the mezuzah will be in the room. If it's outside of the room, there's no problem. But if it's in the room, then you're going into problems of tashmish liftnei a mezuzah, which is a separate halacha which you cannot do. Now again, there is poskim which say that a room which women sleep is part of a mezuzah, but lamaisa, we go according to the Maril and other poskim that it's mechayev mezuzah, and we have to do all kind of methods that, or the mezuzah should be outdoors, or the mezuzah could be indoors, but it has to be covered with if you could cover it with two coverings, and one should not be made special for the mezuzah, because sometimes you put two covers and both are made for the mezuzah. That doesn't help. As we know, the halacha is in orachaim that kis b'toch kis is a thing that covers properly, and then you could take it into a toilet, or you could take it in, you could have tashmish in front of it. So therefore, you should cover it with twice. But again, if you can't cover it with two, Elamasat Alter Rebbe paskens in orachaim סימנים, Laluch, the Alter Rebbe is Michael, and he holds that basically that it's enough one kisi. So again, make sure that it should be covered properly, especially it shouldn't be see-through glass, and then you're good to go if you cannot put two covers. Okay, next, the Shechanur Machaba says that a basic knesses, if there is a apartment which the shamas lives over there, is mechiv mezuzah. If there isn't any apartments in the beit knesses, in the shul, there's no beis dira, it's part of the mezuzah. Why? There's a couple of reasons. The machloikas of Rishonim, some Rishonim will say because it's kodesh, and it's not chol, so therefore the mezuzah is only in a bayis shel chol, not a bayis shel kodesh. Other achronim will say not because of kedusha's basic knesses, no, vibald it's made to daven over there is a bayis shel shchina, and it's not bayis chut. It's a different tam, and there is chilikim according to the town. And there are other poskim that Bais means it's miyuchad lechu, not because it's Bais has to be miyuchad lechu dafka. So therefore, a Beis Knesset is potem in a mezuzah. So it depends on the tam. If the tam is because it's a Bais shal shchina, it's a place where we daven over there, that's why it's potem. So even a person has a personal besmedrash in his house, he owns the house, and it's his personal besmedrash, it's still potem in the mezuzah. But if it has to be Bais Chu your house, and that's the reason of the Patar, if a person owns in his house, in his basement, he has a nice fixed up basement for a shul, and it might be even a legal shul, so therefore it is Mechiba Mezuzah, but it's still Bais Chu. And therefore, this is the case today's day. Anyone who has a personal besmedrash in his house will put a mezuzah because we don't know what is the reason why misputer according to which Rishonim we go. Therefore, is misbechiba mezuzah. That's only if you have nobody who lives there. If you have a bais dira, in any case, it's mechiba mezuzah because the shamas is living there. But even if it doesn't have a bais dira, then you still will be mechiba mezuzah, at least according to some Rishonim, because it's called ksida bais chu. But if it's a public house, that means a shul, which is a community shul, is bepashtel steht that a Beis Knesset is mechiba mezuzah only if there is a dira for any person. But that's only the shul. The shul which has a coffee room, or has other things, yeah. We have other things. Again, it depends in the Talmud. If it is not Bais Chu, you have a problem. If it is yours, then you're going to put a mezuzah. If it is because of Bais Kedusha, so that will be only in the shul. So again, Lamaisa, today's day, in all the shuls, you are going to put a mezuzah, and you are not going to make a bracha. Only place which you are going to make a bracha. No, in any place you won't make a bracha, because according to which time, it depends which time, and according to one rishon, you cannot make a bracha only with if it's yours. In some places will say even if it's yours, it's a basic ness of people daven. So therefore, in a shul, you are not going to make a bracha on a mezuzah. Again, as we mentioned before, a basic kisei, Beis HaMerchetz, Beis HaBursika, all of them are potif in a mezuzah. Beis HaTfila. Why? Although it's your personal house, since it's not a dira of kovet. Bais Chu means a dira of a place where it's a dira shel kovet, but since it is not a dira shel kovet, it's potif in a mezuzah. Now, Beis HaTfila will be potter even though it's a swimming pool which is not heated. That means it's not the reason because it's a zihama. Some poskim will mention, but basically that it is the reason because there is a hama. So in a Beis HaTfila, you cannot make a bracha. Yeah, you cannot go into a Beis in a mikveh and start Tfilas Kailam and make a bracha because there's a hama. If it is a cold mikveh, you could make a bracha. So even though that when it comes to Krishma in bracha, you could make a bracha if it's a cold bath, but over here it's not the reason because of Zahama. The reason is it's not Dira Shel Kuvat. In any case, if a person has a big room and has a swimming pool over there, which is basically called Beis HaTfila, is potim in a mezuzah. Now there's a big the Achronim have a whole shmiz that today's day where you make mezuzahs and they make a big room in separate rooms and a room where you wait. All these things, if that's also a chaylik of considered of Beis HaMerchetz and everything is potter, only the room where you toively sell. Elamasa, there are some poskim which say all the rooms will be potter. And nowadays we're going to put mezuzahs on the outside doors. That means all the other rooms, which is not a person, which a person will undress over there, again, we're not going to make a bracha because some poskim say that it is considered a bais kuvad. It is a kuvad gedach, although it's made for a merchetz, but the room itself is a bais shel adir shel kuvad, and you are mechiv to put a mezuzah, but don't make a bracha. Now, when we say a beis kisei, beis bursig, beis tefila, we say the lashon is peturim. It's potter. It's not like we said before when it came to a bais shanush merochtzes, because over there is the reason it's not a covered, and you could put a mezuzah if you want. Over here, it's potter. Even if you could cover it, nobody's going to put a mezuzah on a door which goes into a toilet, even though the door is inside, the mezuzah will be outside, because it is not a deer is covered. Is melekitchila put the whole room is melekitchila put it in a mezuzah. Then there are rooms which are children are sleeping, or baby rooms, which there is they're making a diaper. You're going to pamper them. You're going to clean them. These rooms, the Shulchan Aruch says that you should put a mezuzah and you should cover it. That will be also going to laundry room. Once upon a time, when they used to wash vindlen, diapers, which then that was a room which you had mamash tinof from Tanoikas, you had to put a mezuzah and cover it. Our laundry room, we don't put, you put a mezuzah regularly, you don't have to cover it because basically you don't have diapers. Even though you might have sometimes a baby garment got schmitzig, but that you don't have to cover it at all. And if it has the shear, it's mechibe mezuzah. Achsadra. The Mechaber says afterwards a sivov. Achsadra is a place which has 3 walls and a dach, a roof. Yeah, and you walk in. It's like a bus stop, I would say. Bus stop, such a thing. Zug the Mechaber. It's potem and a mezuzah. Now, bus stops will have a roof. And by the corner, it will have also 2 beams. Yeah, if you have the bus stops, if somebody makes a thing in his chutzer, he will make such a thing. It will be.
They have like this. It's called a carport.
2 sides. What?
They have like this called a carport, which is like for parking. It's not a closed garage. It's like a bus stop. It has only the sides and the 3 sides in the top.
Oh, yeah. Such a thing.
Such a thing.
Yeah, such a thing. Now this, since it doesn't have 4, it's not a room which has 4 walls, it is potem and a mezuzah. Now, although you might have on the 2 sides, it goes in a little bit, but that's not made. This is a very important look we have to remember. Whenever you have something which is not made for, it should be a part of a wall. You made it because you have a ceiling, you have a roof, and you want to put 2 pillars in order that 2 pillars should keep and hold the roof. That's called achzike tikre. You're putting in beams because you want that basically the roof cannot hold without beams. That's not considered that it has a mashkoif and a mezuzah. Mezuzah and mashkoif. Because that's not a mezuzah. Mezuzah means it is made for a wall. It's made for part of the wall. Then that's considered the wall. And you have a mashkof, so that's a tzirsa pesach. But if you have a tzirsa pesach, and it's very a common thing, sometimes people will have, it will come over a roof. In front of the house, they will have like a roof that the car should pull under. That when you take out the stuff from the car, you're going into your house, you shouldn't get wet when it rains. But since it goes out from the wall more than X amount of feet, it's dangerous. It could fall down. It doesn't keep it itself. It's like an awning. So then you're going to put 2 beams in order to hold the roof. That's not considered although it's a regular tzirsa pesach, a regular ches. But since the 2 beams you put only in order it should keep the tikra, the roof, that's not considered a That's not considered that it has a tzirza pesach and it's potem and a mezuzah. You're going to have this thing a lot of times by like fancy houses which will have awnings coming out, and they will have every couple of feet they will have a two beams coming down. Yeah, it's like there is in the mountains, you can have it a lot of times that you have a roof coming off, and then you have every, let's say, 4 feet, 5 feet, a beam coming down to hold the awning, so to speak. So that it's not considered a tzirza pesach, because if this is the case, if it would have, you have mechima mezuzah, you had to put 20 mezuzahs. You don't need to put, and one which is basically made to come into the house or coming to that chotzer, that yes, is mechiba, that's already mechiba mezuzah, but that's already tzirza pesach. But all other ones, although you could come in and you might come in over there, but that's not the way. It's only put lachzike tikra, that it's not mechiba mezuzah. And
we have like some place that's made like to eat outside. It's like it has 3 walls and another 2 pillars. Is that mechuyev?
It made 3 walls in the. Why is the pillar here? To hold.
There's 3 walls
What?
that has like it's like a big sukkah. It has like a 3 walls around it, like 10 tvachim, just like to look like a closed off area. One wall doesn't have any wall, one side doesn't have any walls, it just has 2 beams to hold the roof.
And if the 2 beams are made only to hold the roof, then it's potem and mezuzah.
Even though on the other side where there is a wall, there is a door which does have tzirza pesach, but the entire thing doesn't have
that's tzirza pesach, yeah. That has tzirza pesach, so then you have to put a mezuzah. But the other wall, which doesn't have any wall, it has only 2 beams to hold the roof, then you don't need it's not mechiba mezuzah.
But this rule is because it doesn't have 3 walls, or because it doesn't have tzirza pesach?
It doesn't have a tzirza pesach, because the 2 beams basically are only made. It doesn't have a mezuzah. In order to be mechayim mezuzah, it has to have 2 mezuzahs and a mashkuf. Over here, you don't have a mezuzah, because the mezuzahs are basically made for the roof. It's not made for a mezuzah. So therefore, it's put in a mezuzah. Now, if it has a 4th wall, although the 4th wall is lower than regularly, yeah, sometimes you can have 3 walls, and the 4th wall is a tiny wall. It has only 10 tvachim, but not more than that. That's still considered the wall, and then that's something else. Because a tzirza pesach does not have to be that the mashkuf goes all the way till the roof, till the ceiling, I'm sorry, the mezuzah does not have to go all the way till the mashkuf. If it has a mezuzah, which is 10 tvachim, although the mashkuf is way high, then that's mechiba mezuzah. You can have such a thing. Sometimes you go into a kitchen, yeah, which basically it's a full room, and the 4th wall where you're going to the kitchen has a counter. And then over here, where you're going into the room, it is regular mezuzahs, yeah, but only the right side wall, let's say, has a counter, which is basically doesn't have on top, doesn't go on top, but the counter has so that's already considered a wall, and your mechiba mezuzah, although from the bottom till the top is empty, but if it is against the mashkov, that means it's not the mashkov is here and a little bit in the back. That's not considered the mashkov mezuzah. If the mezuzah is right underneath that mashkov, that's considered already a mezuzah and a mashkov, and you're going to put the mezuzah. It's interesting. It should be that if it has 10 tvachim, you put the mezuzah on the counter. I'm sorry, not the counter, on the cabinet. So it will might look funny that the mezuzah is not all the way on the right side on the wall. It is basically on the counter. Yeah, since it has only 10 since it's 10 tvachim, so you're going to put it tefach lower than the end of the counter. So it might look funny, but that's the way how to put a mezuzah. And it's a thing which we have constantly. People who go around look mezuzahs, or you have a lot of shilas of mezuzahs, then you're going to see there's a lot of times in a kitchen which you can have such a thing, that you can have a wall, mezuzah, a mashkov, and on the other side you can have a a mezuzah which is 10 tefachim, then you're going to put it on that cabinet and not on the wall.
May I ask you, if you have a chutzner, we say you're supposed to put a mezuzah because of the bias that it's around. But if the chutzner usually doesn't have a tikra, it doesn't have a roof, you still put it on the door.
Yes, it doesn't have to have a chutzner, does not have need to have a roof. Now, although we're going to see that the house has to have a roof, and a house that does not have a roof is potem and a mezuzah. So the question is, what's different than a chutzner? So the answer is, a bias is made to live with a dach, with a tikra. And if it doesn't have a tikra, it's not called considered bias. It's not called considered the regular dira. And therefore, it is potem and mezuzah. But a chotzer, although it doesn't have a tikra, but since the shtamshus of a chotzer is without a tikra, and it's still mechib and mezuzah. Yeah.
All right, good.
Let's see what else. Mechaber says further than a marpeses is a staircase, so to speak, which this is you go from one floor to the other floor, or you're going to give to in the house itself. A marpeses is like a small platform, which it's like a hallway, which what should I say? You can see it on the motels. That's marpeses. You go in a motel, you have a motel which has 2 floors. The bottom floor is rooms, top floor is also rooms. So what do you have? You're going up a staircase on the side, and then you have a long hallway, which you go through there, and you're going into the rooms. So you have basically the staircase where you go up, and then you have the whole marpeses which you have over there. That's
like the landing.
There's a landing, and then there's the whole marpesa, which you want to go from room 201 to 202 to 203, the whole porch, so to speak. Yeah. So you're going up steps on one corner, and then you go to.
In other words, it's like a hallway, but outside with the railing.
Yes, exactly. So zug the mechaber marpesas, which is where you basically to go up to a second floor, or a base shar. Yeah, a base shar, vahagina, steht is petieren mit namazizah. That's the mechaber says is potem mit namazizah. Bim bais besiach leich mehem chayovim. If you have a house which goes in through that marpeses into the house, in mechib mazizah. Let me just see what the mechaber said. Yeshomrim shebai shar chayav afil ein besiach. So now we have a machlokas, which is very, very important halacha. A base shar means a bias which brings you to other houses. Yeah? No, let me take it back. A base shar means it is a small house which you're going into somewhere. Now, if you're going into a house, that's a base shar which is opened for a house. If you're going in nowhere, it's, let's say, a bayshar, it's a tiny house, which is that himself, it doesn't take you in to a house where you live. It takes you into a chotzer, it takes you into a gina, it takes you into other places, which it's not into a house. We have a machloikas, is if a mezchiv a mezizah. So now, let's go in a step a little bit back. If a person goes up in that marpeset, which we just mentioned before, you have a motel, which you go up the steps, yeah, and it has a landing, which has a tziras pesach. From there you go into the porches, and from the porches you go into a room. So in such a case, yeah, izuk the mechaber is mechib b'mezizah. Why? Because it's a bayshar to a house. This landing and the porch is made to go into the motel room. You want to go into your room. So any bayshar which goes into a house is mechib b'mezizah. Now it does not make a difference if the bayshar is dalat al dalat or not. When it comes to a house, when it comes to a room, we know it has to be dalat al dalat. Yeah, it has to be 4 amas or 4 amas. Yeah, which is approximately 8 by 8. You want to be the bigger shear or a little bit less, 7 by 7. But if it doesn't have this dimensions, it's bottom and a mezuzah. A beis shar, which goes into a house, is not like that. Even if it's less than dalat al dalat, it will also be mechib mezuzah. It's not mechib mezuzah for itself. It's mechib because it's a beis shar for a house which is mechib mezuzah. So therefore, all the hallways, if you have hallways which has a door, then according to the Rambam again, the Rambam holds that you have to have a door in order to be mechib mezuzah l'chaladais. But any hallway, even if it's a tiny hallway, it's less than dalat, it is mechib mezuzah, which that hallway takes you in to a room which is mechib mezuzah. Now, if it is a beis shar which doesn't take you into a room which is mechib mezuzah, so there you could come to this machloikas of the mechaber if a beis shar is mechib mezuzah and if it's not mechib mezuzah. So the mechaber brings down the first shitta, which basically usually the mechaber pastens, if it doesn't say the first shitta without a yeshamram, the pastens like that, the spotim and a mezuzah. Then it brings down yeshamram. But if it's a hallway which brings you into a second room, that's mechib mezuzah. So therefore, when you're coming into a house, yeah, you remember we mentioned before that you're coming in, you should have a dalat al dalat. If it goes in to a room which is a regular room, a normal room which is mechib mezuzah, then it will be mechib mezuzah because it is a beis shar for a house which is mechib mezuzah. If it's a beis shar which does not take you, it takes you to a other room which is not mechib mezuzah, then we have this mechloikas which mechaber brings the mechloikas, which mechaber itself passes bottom and mezuzah, and he brings a yeshamram. The mechaber also says agina is bottom and mezuzah. What's the reason of the agina? Is because again, as we mentioned before, the mezuzah by seichu b'sherechu, that has to be a house that you have ishtamshus. So a chotzer, which we mentioned before, is mechib mezuzah. That's because the chotzer is a shtamshus. You put over there your stuff. It is a thing that basically you are using it. It's a backyard. It is a chotzer which has ishtamshus. A gina has no ishtamshus. A gina is made to plant fruits, vegetables, to or sit outside in the outdoors, whatever it should be. Such a thing is not mechib. There's no ishtamshus over there, and therefore such a thing is not considered dira, and therefore it's put in mezuzah. So that's the chilek of a chotzer and a gina. Good. Is there any questions for now for this Simon?
Yeah, what category would a garage go in?
A garage door? A garage door will be a category which is a normale base oitzer, and it is a normale shtamshes over there, and it will be a mechib mezuzah.
And it needs a bracha, or?
A base oitzer again, we saw that base oitzer before. We have a machloikas over there. Remember, we mentioned that.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a difference in Minhag Chabad or not in regarding to the garage?
No.
Because every time I go to people and I tell them, they say, oh, it's Chabad only puts.
What?
Whenever I go to people to put up mezuzahs and I tell them that the garage needs a mezuzah, they say, no, only Chabad puts a mezuzah on the garage. I'm used to that. A lot of people say, "Oh, it's Chabad." So they, because I'm Chabad, so they.
Yeah, that's part of it. But it asks them in which chelik of the Alter Rebbe Shechanor you have in Hilchas Mezuzah. So we know that there's Hilchas Chabad in Mezuzah. There is Taken Sefer HaMenugah, but that's only which when it comes to that, it's Hakertzir with other things, small things, right. Few things, but it's not. We have the same Torah and same Eibishter as all other Yidden.
Okay.
What's what in Florida? It's very common that like the whole chutzah is a bes merchetz. So what's the
chutzah is a bes merchetz? What does that mean?
The whole chutzah is basically you go and you'll see the whole chutzah is basically.
Oh, you mean you have a swimming pool?
Yeah, not only there is a swimming pool, but basically the whole the whole yard is the swimming pool, and around it like just chairs whatever it is, with mamish the whole chutzner, and it has an entrance from there people use. So the mezuzah would usually go on the outside because you're coming in from there, because they use the from the side, they come in from the side of the chutzner over there. So what would you do by the doors that enter the house from mamish from the swimming pool?
The door goes into, one second, you have, your question is basically the door going into the chutzner, from the street to the chutzner.
Not even going, going into the chutzner, but even the door going really into the house, the mezuzah is going to be on the outside because you're going in, because that's how people would enter. If is you go
and the front yard there is the mezuzah, is the swimming pool?
No, so the front yard is usually separate, and and it's an enclosed, like the side and the back is enclosed, and there's a door, a gate that you go from this by the side to the back, and then there's like big French doors that goes, because in such houses the beis merchatz is the most valuable part of the house, so they have big French doors to show you the beis merchatz, you know. Thing is, the doors go in, and the mezuzah would usually go on the outside, but you're in this case the whole chutz is the beis merchatz.
They wash there or they go swim? What is the?
So they go swim. Sometimes there's also a shower. There's also an outdoor shower out there also. So in other words, because like not always. It's, I mean, different ones is different. But I've seen them like this where they have like an outdoor shower, because this way you can clean your. Now I don't know exactly to what degree of taking their clothes off people do before they come in, whatever. But there is a shower tachlis over there sometimes. Because people like this, people clean them. They just wash. They're already swimming, so they already wash themselves like this, and then go inside after. Without
and there is another room between, or you going straight to the.
Usually it opens right into the. Listen, this is the jewel of their house, the beis merchatz. So it's like the dining room or living room or something like this, or sometimes it's like a combined kitchen and dining, and the big open concept, and the whole thing is big double French doors opens into the thing. Into the back,
but 1 second, that doors goes also into the house.
Yeah, so but you're gonna put the mezuzah on the outside because you're coming into it. In other words, it's an entrance, so you're coming in. People are coming in that way. So you would have the mezuzah on that. So it's not, I guess you just would have to cover it, make sure it's covered.
Yeah, you'll have to cover it because people are undressed. But it goes into your house, your regular house. So that's for sure. You're going into
so as long as they don't have a toilet also out there, they're still good.
yeah. I don't have exactly I don't have the picture in front of me of what you described. So next time I'll be in Florida, you should invite me and you should show me such a house. But at least, but this is the house which you go into your regular house. There's no civil that you should be putting in the mezuzah.
Right, by me, I don't have to worry about it because it's I'm only renting the house for a week, so I don't have a shiloh of mezuzah so much.
Oh, yeah, okay. So
and just another point. I remember when I was a kid. So I remember we would stand in 770 by the bleachers, and like I remember by the bleachers we would stand in 770 in the near the door. So from where we would stand, I could always see the Rebbe when he would come in. I remember very clearly that the Rebbe would did not kiss his hand. He would, and I remember clearly he would put the mezuzahs like this. The Rebbe would put his hand like flat like this, and then but not kiss his hand. So.
This is what I mentioned it before. Yeah. I said before. I said that the Ramon says it says from the Arizal that you should kiss the mezuzah. I said although the Rebbe did not kiss, but according to Arizal. It is and that's Lamasa many oilam that you kiss the mezuzah, and even many Chabadis will be that you kiss the mezuzah. Spitz Chabad will only put the hand on mezuzah and not kiss it, but the Menig's rule is that you kiss it too. But again, in Shechanor you should kiss it. It says you should put your hands on it, and doesn't say anything about kissing it. It's only the Rizal, which is yeah, you're right. I remember it hundreds of times. I saw it. The Rabbi puts the mezuzah, and not only even that. Even though Sefer Torah or the paroichas, the Rebbe didn't kiss at all. No such thing. I didn't see kissing the Rebbe. Never saw the Rebbe should kiss something. So you're right. Correct. But noch many oilem is that you kiss the B'Sefer Torah, you kiss the paroichas, you kiss the mezuzah, even the minig Chabad. So yes, now. So we mentioned now Beishar. We have this machloikas. A Beishar, which is you're going into Beishar, right side going into your house, left side goes out to a chotzer. Yeah, sometimes you have such a thing. You have like a small, tiny budke, which goes in to your house. You go into that. From there, you make a right to your house, a left into the chotzer. Yeah, so the mechaber, you have to put 2 mezuzahs, because one to your house is mechiber mezuzah, and the other one, which goes into the chotzer, you put also which goes into the chotzer. Yeah, shnei mezuzahs. Now there's over a big difference. There's over a big difference of if it is a chotzer which is enclosed, or if it's a chotzer which is not enclosed. Let me just explain it in a minute. Give me a minute. Sometimes you're going to have, as I mentioned before, you're going into one small room, you make a right to one house, one into a chotzer. Now, again, chotzer mechiber mezuzah and a bayis mechiber mezuzah. The only question is now, going into the house, that's for sure you're going at the right into the house. What's doing about going into the chotzer? Do I put on the right side going into the chotzer, or do I put on the left side? Over here, we go into the difference between if it's a closed chotzer or not a closed chotzer. Let me give you a gdoma. A person has a house. He has a porch. Let me go like that. He has a porch. Which way do you put the mezuzah? Going out to the porch or going in to the porch into the house? Now, if it has a heker tzir, again, we, according to Chabad, will go to heker tzir. But if it's sliding doors, you don't have heker tzir. Which way do you put it? Do you put it out to the chotzer, or you put it into the house? We're going to go get more in detail when we come to the halachas of which way you put it in. But I would just want to bring this halacha in order to understand this halacha too. So the pashtus will be like that. If the chotzer has a entrance to the shisarabim, that means you could go in from the shisarabim into the chotzer, and from the chotzer you're going to go upstairs to your porch, and then from the porch you could go into your house. Then you will make the mezuzah going into your house. If it is a closed mechitza, a closed porch, which basically there's no way going out to the porch, that there's a way out to the shisarabim, so then you're going to make the mezuzah going out to the porch, because there is nothing what you could do. It's closed, and it's not a way how you could go. It's made basically to go out. It's not made to come in. If it has a mezuzah, if it has a way all the way till the front, then you put it in the way going into the house. If it has, I don't want to go in now to heker tzir, because we're going to get that to the halacha of heker tzir, and that it will have an agaya over here, this halacha ocha. But I will go to the klolas the halacha, how it is a shichanok. So this is
what's the discussion? What's the meduber? Because it's a porch, because it's outside. Like, what's the suffix?
Because it's outside, yeah. So basically, the only way it's made to go out to the porch, because there's no steps there going down, and therefore you put it the way out. Or if it has stairs, and you could go down in the chotzer. If the chotzer going out to the Shisarab, then it's made to go into the house, and you mechiv b'mezuzah, put it on the right side. That is basically the halacha. So do over here is the mechaber azor. By shar, which is open to a house and to a chotzer, is mechiv b'shtayim mezuzahs. One into the house, one into the chotzer. Now over here, we're going to have the same shaila. If you have a beis shar going into a house, and on the left side, let's say, going into the chotzer, but the chotzer is closed, which way you can put the mezuzah? If you put it the way going out to the chotzer, or you put it in the way into the house. And that is mediber in the poiskim, samach grois machloikes, as if it is be'etzem, the bashar which goes into the chotzer is be'etzem mechiv b'mezuzah, or no, it's only mechiv b'mezuzah because the chotzer will take you into the bashar, which take you into the house. That is a machloikes and achroinim how to do it. Now again, by us it will be a little bit easier, because again, when we come to Hakatzir, we're going to see that even in such a case, we're going to have a clear way how to deal with it. But the pashtus of Shechanorech and Achroinim over here on the place, by us it will be a bit easier, because even a closed porch, we will say that you have, the Rebbe Rashab says, you have a way how to come into that room, you have a window, so I don't care if you could, so a porch also you could jump over. But you can take a ladder, yeah? One of the things that the Rebbe Rashab said, that the B'Shem the Rebbe Marash, that you can take a ladder and jump over. But I can do them over here in Rapa-Rafo. If you learned,
you could also do without the ladder.
You could oh, exactly. That's the Rebbe Marash, and Heketzi, the Rebbe Rashab brings it down B'Shem the Rebbe Marash. So that will be the Nikida how to put it. But we're going to come more in detail. But again, mechiv and mezuzah is both. It's only the difference where you're going to put it, into the chotzer or from the chotzer into the house. In order to a house should be mechiv and mezuzah, in order to a house should be mechiv and mezuzah, has to have dalat al dalat. Yes, has to be a bais which is livable. Has to be dalat al dalat. If it's not dalat al dalat, it's not called adira mechubedes and it's potem in a mezuzah. Now, if it has a way that you could make it dalat al dalat. Let's say it has 3 amas on 10 amas. So if you take the square feet, you can make it should be square dalat al dalat. If pashas am mechaber of the mechaber zuk, v'im yesh bo kedai l'rabba, that means if you can square it out, then it's mechiv mezuzah. Although it's long and narrow, but it is mechiv mezuzah. Now again, there's a begin machlokes achronim. It has to be if you have it's 2 inches by 30 feet, which basically has the square feet. Is this also mechiv mezuzah? So of course the post can say there has to have some kind of widthness that it should be a rule of mezuzah. Some say dalat fucham, others say zayin fucham. But a kapurim has to be some kind of way that it should be practically able to should live. Of them past mechaber if yesh bekedai l'rabba, it is mechiv mezuzah. That's the shitta of the mechaber the mechaber paskins. The shitta Rambam and other some Rishonim say it's not enough yesh bekedai l'rabba. It has to be dalat al dalat. Even if it's 3 by 30 feet, then it's not mechiv mezuzah, and because it's not comfortable to live. The master mechaber paskins is mechiv mezuzah. And we will pass again, as we mentioned in the beginning of the shir, that whenever you have a machloekes apoiskim, if it's mechiv mezuzah or not, we are going to pass that in such a way you should put a mezuzah only without a bruch. So therefore, if you have a room which is narrow and long, and it is at least a room which you could walk in, which usually has a door, it will be a comfortable size to walk in, dalat focham or maybe zayin focham, but it doesn't have dalat amas in the width, but it has in the long, then we are going to put a mezuzah and we are not going to make a bracha. But that's only if that's a room for itself. If it is a Beis Shar, again, we have another reason to make a bracha, because it is a Beis Shar to a regular room, to go into a regular room. That's something else. So again, whenever you have a shala on the room, if it's mechiba mezuzah, because it's not too big, you have to make a cheshbon. If you could square it out, it's mechiba mezuzah according to mechaber, and if you cannot square it out, then even according to mechaber, it's poter min mezuzah. Now you go into the shaila, you have laundry rooms, which you might have. The room itself will be dalat, but you have built-in cabinets, built-in counters, which basically will take away the place of the room. So according to Achroinim, that will minimize. That means that's not considered dalat, because basically you put in to the wall, scroll to the wall. It's fixed cabinets. And therefore, if it doesn't have what other cabinets, not mechiba mezuzah. When it comes to washing and drying, the person will say that does not minimize from the square feet of the room, because you can take it out and it's removable, so that won't minimize. But if it is a room which basically has but you put cabinets, laundry baskets, which is basically today's day you make all kind of fancy laundry rooms, but the essence of the room is not dalat, basically it will not be mechiyef mezuzah, except if it's a walkthrough, kemivim. A store. Mechaber says, the Mechaber says like this: Sikkah achag, b'chag. A sikkah is a sikkah. We have it's not a built-in sikkah because that's a room, but I'm thinking somebody builds in the sikkah, it's potem in a mezuzah. If a person has a house on a ship, or chanoyet shebeshvukim is potem in a mezuzah. You have a store, a pashto v'sishtaydu, a store is potem in a mezuzah. So sikkah achag, yeah, we understand that's a diras aray. It's not made for only for 7 days. But so therefore, it's put in mezuzah. So therefore, if you have a built-in sikkah which you use for like a sun house or whatever, you have it. It's a regular room. Avad and avad is b'chiber mezuzah. There's no question about it. It's only if it's a mezuzah which is only made for a 7-day mezuzah. If it has a sikkah which let's say people have in front of their house, they make a sikkah and it's made to go into the house, again, that's already a Beis Shar. Yeah, so that's a Beis Shar already. That will be mechiba mezuzah. I can put a mesufak. That's already a sufak if it's mechiba mezuzah. That's already a Beis Shar for the house. Yeah, so some people will make the sukkah right in front of their house, and from the sukkah they go into the house. They do it because let's say they can wouldn't wait in the chotzer because they have a problem of Shabbos about carrying. So in such a case, we have a sufik. So in such a case, you will make you will put a mezuzah, but you won't make a bracha because it's a machlokas of if you put a mezuzah or not. But if it is a regular sikkah, which you will dismantle after sikkahs, then it's potem in a mezuzah. Then the Mechaber says, chanoid b'shvukim is poter. You have a chanis, b'shvukim is poter. Over here, we have a very nice machlokas. What does it mean, chanoid b'shvukim? One will say, it is stores. Any store which it is, it will be potem in mezuzah. Why? Because it's a diras aray. You don't sit over there b'kviyas. You don't sleep over there at night. Therefore, when you have is a store, Pashas Mechaber says, if you have a chanit, a store, then it's potem in a mezuzah. So a person would say, if I have a store, I'm not mechiba mezuzah. Yeah, that's Pashas b'shat. But other poskim will say, no, it depends what does it mean, chanoish b'shvukim? It is not, we don't talk about a store which a person has, a grocery store, a person has other things which he sells items. That is loy gura fina baisa oitza, because you keep the stuff over there and you sit there all day And at least, even if you don't, if you need to sleep over there or not, but at least one that goes at night, you are keeping all the schor over there. So since you keep all the schor over there, it will be mechiber mezuzah, because that's a bayis ha'oitzim. What does the Mechaber say? It means that they used to go to a yerid or a flea market, or a booth, which you have a Java center. Yeah, you purchase a booth, you have a show for a week, 10 days, whatever it should be, or even a longer time. And over there you have stuff, and at night you close down shop. This is what the Mechaber means, that you are bottom in a mezuzah. But if it is a regular store, which we have and we keep constantly things, that's mechiber mezuzah. The same mechoikos will also be with an office. Office is a thing that you don't sleep at night. Normal people do not sleep in their office, So therefore, if we need, it should be a dira. A dira means you eat and sleep over there. In an office, a person does not sleep. There are extra, people, extra offices which they will sleep. They have a cat over there and sleep there at night when they get busy. But in a regular office, you don't sleep there. Is it mechiber mezuzah or not mechiber mezuzah? If you need, you should be able to sleep over there at night, and you don't sleep at night, it's mechiber mezuzah. It's not mechiber mezuzah. But the person can say that since in our offices you keep stuff, you have file cabinets, you have all kinds of things which it is considered a bayis ha'oitzer. Therefore, you should put a mezuzah. Kemiven, you are not going to make a bracha, as again, because the mechloik is in it. So in an office, you don't make a mezuzah, or in a store, you won't make a mezuzah. And that's all the factories. People have factories which they manufacture stuff. So in today's day, manufacturing is also a warehouse. So basically, you will make a mezuzah, you will put a mezuzah, but you are not going to make a bracha. This is a constant shaila which people have. I have a business, I have an office, do I need to put a mezuzah? And the answer will be, yes, you put a mezuzah, and you don't make a bracha. Why you put a mezuzah? Because it's a machloikas. If you need, it should be mamash dira, that you should be sleep at night too. And some say you don't need mamash 100% to sleep over there. But in any case, nowadays that it's also by Zoitzer, is for sure as is mechiber mezuzah, and that means chanoish b'shukam, of which is potter, is only in a way which is real arai, like yerid, flea market, a room at a show. Only then it will be potter in a mezuzah. A house which doesn't have a ceiling, that means a room without a ceiling, it's put in a mezuzah. If half of it has a ceiling and half of it doesn't have a ceiling, a roof, depends where the roof is. If the roof is the first half, so then you have a tirsa pesach and a roof, it's mechiber mezuzah. If it's not in the first half, then it will be potem in the mezuzah. But again, even the chaylik which is mekira and is chayva mezuzah has to be dalat. You don't calculate the other part of the mezuzah of the room into this room. Again, why is it? Because a house which doesn't have a roof is not considered a dira, and that's the difference between it and a chotzer, which a chotzer is made for that, and the bayis is not made for that. So therefore, if you have a room which usually you use it specially, that's the comfortability, and that's the way how you use it without it's not a roof, but that's the way how that's established. That's considered as a chotzer, and that's what we mechim mezuzah. That means the machaber passes by shayin the tikr spotim mezuzah is only because it's a regular house and the house comes with a tikr. But if it is such a stamshus, some people will have, for instance, porches. Yeah, a porch, which a porch basically has a tirsa pesach, has a nice room, you can eat and do there, but it's not made to have a tikra. There will be mechiber mezuzah, because that's called a chotzer, which is mechiber mezuzah. I see somebody wrote that you didn't learn this halachas. You didn't learn Rash by Vov? Huh? Everybody's muted? Hello? Mendel Markel, did you learn Rash by High? Was it in the program to learn Rash by Vov?
Yeah.
It's in the book.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
in the
No,
book.
there was just a question. There was a question in which sif we were holding in. That's all.
Ah, I thought that you didn't learn this.
No, we learned this.
I'm sorry. Okay. Just wanted to make sure that got it. Okay. Oh, so the Mechaber says in Sifte Esvov, a house, even though it doesn't have doors, is chayav mezuzah. Yesh misha poite, that's shittas Rambam. That's a famous machloikes. Most Rishonim will hold that a house that doesn't have a mezuzah is chayav mezuzah, doesn't have a door is chayav mezuzah. The Rambam holds that it is pote min mezuzah. What's the reason of the Rambam? Because the Torah says in mezuzahs by seichu v'sherechu. In it rozgelehnt that at mezuzahs by seichu v'sherechu, the Rambam mezuzahs by seichu v'sherechu is a mezuzah mit sha'ar. Where do you put mezuzah in a sha'ar? It means a mezuzah which has a sha'ar. This is the Rambam what learns. Mezuzah by seichu v'sherechu, a mezuzah which has a sha'ar. Therefore, a door which doesn't have a sha'ar is potem in a mezuzah. So according to this, nowadays, especially in the modern houses, most of the half rooms will not be mechiber mezuzah because today's day they make a lot of the dining room, the diners, all this kind of rooms which doesn't have has doors is according to the Rambam supposed to be mezuzah. But again, the Mechaber, the first shitta, which is the stam, which says chayav mezuzah, that means the Mechaber pastors like that shitta, and in the kavona mezuzah b'seichu v'sherechu means that even if it's not doesn't have a day list, but it means the mezuzah in the house, mezuzah of the sha'ar of the ear, and it's not mezuzah b'seichu v'sherechu that it needs the house which the day list which needs the sha'ar. So again, in such a case, we are all going to put the mezuzah on all the rooms which doesn't have a day list. But again, when it comes to make a bracha, we make sure not to make a bracha on such a door which doesn't have a door, such a tzirsa pesach which doesn't have a door. Now, it will come, very interesting chilik will be, what is if a person put on a mezuzah on a door which doesn't have a dayless, and then he decides, I want to put in a dayless, I want to put in a door. So now, according to the Rambam, was potem in a mezuzah. According to and now it was potem mezuzah. Now he is mechiber mezuzah. According to other poskim, yeah, it was mechiber mezuzah. So even if you put in a dayless, it's not a problem. What's the question? Question is, there's a loch in hilchos mezuzah tasev lo min osi. That means that if a person, for instance, has a mezuzah with a door and it's going to paint or going to remodel, and it takes out the whole door with the mezuzahs, the mashkoy, with the mezuzah, then he finishes building the whole house. He wants to put back the whole door together with the mezuzah. The problem is now you are going to put the dayless, the mezuzah is on a dayless, which is mechiber mezuzah, and now you're putting it on the door. It will be mechiber mezuzah. That's called tasev lo min usi. You didn't put the mezuzah on a room which is mechiber mezuzah. You are putting it basically on a room which is not mechiber mezuzah. You don't have a dayless, and then you're putting it in. So now in such a case, you put a mezuzah on a door which doesn't have, and you have a dining room which has arches, and you put a mezuzah. Now you decide you want to put in the door. What's going to be? According to the Rambam, yeah, you have a mezuzah when it's not mechiyev, you're putting it outdoors, it becomes mechiyev. Do you have to take off the mezuzah and put it back or not? Yeah, that's a nice question. It's a nice chilik according to this poskim. So therefore, according to the Shach and other poskim say that, again, in such a thing, you'll have to take off the mezuzah, put back the door, and be machmar that only to put on the mezuzah afterwards, because it shouldn't be the problem of Tasa Shloim Minosi. Tasa Shloim Minosi, because according to the Rambam, we have a problem.
Can I ask you something?
What?
Can I ask a few questions? I don't know when you're planning to talk about this.
Okay.
Okay. In my area where I live, in my house also, there's certain shilas that are always coming up, and I always have a problem figuring out what the answer is. So first of all, like in my house, there is a chotzer, there's a courtyard, and it's surrounded. And then you come into the house. Okay, the front door usually opens inside, so there's no problem. But in any event, the front door we would also put as an entrance, right? No matter how it swings, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, then there are other doors that lead to the court, to the yard. There's from the garage, there's a door, and from the back of the house, there is a sliding door, and then there's like a little porch, and that also has a bunch of sliding doors. So the question is, first of all, on sliding doors, how do you decide which is the inside, which is the outside, and where's the mashkaf, and where would you put the mezuzah? Because the sliding door usually has whatever, and then one half of it is stationary, and the other half of it moves in and out. And then again, also, when do you consider it the main door, and you consider it always an entry, like from the courtyard, from the chutzner into the porch and into the house? Is that always an entrance, or only the front door? These are common problems that always come up. Person has a sliding door. Where do you put the mezuzah? I don't know if you have a chance when you're going to talk about it.
I will have a chance, but not today, because that's a simon. The simon, which the simon. Did you learn all mezuzah?
I didn't learn it all yet, but I hope to.
There is a simon which is called, over there, how to put the mezuzah, where to put the mezuzah. And we're going to go in there. We're going to have a couple of shirim on mezuzah there. We'll come there to the hakritzir, outdoors, indoors there, all the labavish shilas which you are waiting to hear. We're going to get there in
Okay, good. Baruch Hashem, good. Because
we're going to get there today, because you're bringing up very important things, and you're bringing up shilas which is even a machloikas in nowadays Rabbonei Chabad. So we'll discuss it. I'll tell you what I paskin, what I feel, and what other people paskin. When it comes to that, and that's a whole nice, beautiful subject.
Okay, so we'll do that next time. Okay, good.
Go in according to the Simonim which we learned, because get to the halachas.
Good. Okay.
Yeah. And the Kiva Eiger has a very nice, it brings up an interesting halacha. We just mentioned before, there's a halacha of Tasev Lo Mini Osi. Yeah? That if a person has a room which is Mechiba Mezuzah, it becomes Potem in a Mezuzah, and then, but the Mezuzah stays, then you put back, it becomes Mechiba Mezuzah. It's a pursuit of Tasev Lo Mini Osi. Yeah, that's why when you have a door, you take down the whole door frame with all the Tziras Pesach. You have the Mezuzah stayed on it. You cannot put it back as it is. Tasev Lo Mini Osi. Why again? What's the concept? Because you have the Mezuzah when it's not Mechiba Mezuzah, then you put it when it's Mechiba Mezuzah. That's Tasev Lo Mini Osi. What it is? If you put it the way it was kosher, so you get say that, and Soviet postel, yeah, and it becomes kosher again, yeah. Again, sie gewähnt kosher, habe es darauf gelegt, dass sie gewähnt kosher. I took it off, and so it's a matzah which is poter min mezuzah, and then it's okay. Yeah.
What became possible? The Tzuras HaPesach became chayav or not, or the mezuzah became chayav or not?
the Zimmer is geworden a Zimmer, was nicht bechieben Mezuzah. The whole room is geworden bechieben Mezuzah. Yeah? So you put it up when it bechieben Mezuzah. So the Eiger wants to say, here, listen, here's what the Eiger wants to say. I wants to say, if a person puts up a Mezuzah because he lives there, and then he goes for a 6 month vacation at Israel, or not even 6 months. It could be a couple of a while. He goes away from his house. Now it's a house which you don't live over there. If it's a house you don't want to live over there, it's the Choyre Vetes put in a Mezuzah. We move back, basically, so why isn't the problem of Tasav Lo Minusi? Here's a chap van a Sach.
So meaning what? So l'chura, you would have to take the mezuzahs down and put them back up.
Yes, yeah. That's right. According to this is what we Eiger. That's
That's the final halacha?
No. But I think that the Eiger is machmar a kapuna. Let me see what. Give me a minute. Now, Eiger himself doesn't hold it halacha. Eiger brings out the kidder as brings up this chap because by Eitzem, Eiger wants to say if you're only over there, it's put him in a mezuzah. The kidder tash lo menusi. Lamas in paskman that whenever you put on the mezuzah, the way when it's given kusher, and therefore I'm not going to care that it's a matzav. For instance. We just said before, if you put up a mezuzah which doesn't have a door, so according to the Rambam, it's put in a mezuzah. Now you put it on a door, you have a problem of Tasra Menusi. So this we're going to be machmir. But what is if I put on a door on a mezuzah and on a door and there has a door, but I took off the door because I want to fix it. So now, according to the Rambam, it's put in a mezuzah because it doesn't have a door. And then 2 days from now, I'm going to put it on up again. Of them zoom the Chroinum, the Chola Dias, and I feel no drama is also a problem. Because whenever I put it up, although in the middle of the tier, in according to the Rambam, but I put it up, I don't care if afterwards it becomes in meantime there's a time which according to the Rambam will be put in a mezuzah. That's not called Tasav Lo Menusi.
What's that time though? Because we can extend that case. Let's say I have a room which is dalid al dalid, right? And I put up a mezuzah, and now I put built-in cabinets against one entire wall. It's no longer dalid al dalid. 3 years later, I take down those cabinets. I can still just leave the same mezuzah up. Because what time is that then? It's not a certain time, so fine. So now it was part of the time I put it up, it was dalid al dalid.
Verstehe. Aber sof gesagt, ich habe auch gleich die Sache bekashres. In vieles geworden in the meantime, put him in a mezuzah.
So this is the same thing. I'm saying I put the mezuzah up before I put the cabinets in. When I put the mezuzah up, there was no built-in cabinets. It was dalid al dalid. Now I put in a wall of built-in cabinets. It's pater min mezuzah. And then a year later, I take out those built-in cabinets.
Okay, that's a exactly. That would be the same case, same scenario. Same as the same scenario where I had a door, took off the door, put on the door. Exactly. So over here, goes back to the Bekiva. I put it up, even if I move out, that's not a problem of Tasav Lo Menusi. When the whole matzis is made without Tasav Lo Menusi, that's a problem. But since it was basically put on bakashas, even though if something happens, when it comes to a room which is not dalat, we have another reason of putting a mezuzah. Because we have a shittasa poiskem, besmeyer, with andere. If Eiger goes like that, the Eiger wants to say a very interesting thing. And we are machman according to the Eiger on this halachas. That a person has a room, a bedroom, let's say a bedroom. From the bedroom, you're going into a small, tiny room, which from there, right side, for instance, will be a walk-in closet, left side will be a besakise. Now, is this room mechiber mezuzah or not? According to Pashas halacha, no, it's not mechiber mezuzah, because from the bedroom you're going into a room which is less than $1. Put him in a mezuzah. Kim to the bigger Eige and some other poskim which say that there is, but yeah, it is as if that small room is not a room. It is a baishar going into the bedroom. So therefore, you should put a mezuzah, but putting in the mezuzah going into the room, not going into that small room. Do you get what I'm saying? Again, you have a bedroom. From the bedroom going into a small room which has, let's say, a sink or whatever it should have. Doesn't have $1. From that room, you make a right into a walk-in closet, left into a basic kisai. Yeah. So if this small room takes you into another room which has $1, then it's a baishar. There's no question. It's not a problem. Yeah. You have a big room. From the big room, you're going into a hallway. When the hallway brings you into a different room, it's not a problem. Because it's a baishar, mechiber mezuzah. But if it takes you into a walk-in closet, which is not mechiber mezuzah, or it takes you into a toilet, but this room is less than $1. It's still mechiber mezuzah. Because it is as if this room doesn't exist as a room. It's an open courtyard. And this is a door which takes you into your room, your bedroom. So therefore, you mechiber mezuzah, but not going into that small room, because the small room is mechiber mezuzah. Takes you in to the room inside into your bedroom. And again, the Eiger, with Besmayim, and other poskim go according to that. A lot of other poskim disagree with this.
And it still works if there's no way out. If there's like
even
if there's a way out on the other side, a window.
Even there's no way out, because it is as if it is not. There's nothing over there. It's as if it's open to the air. It's dus the Eiger's ofti.
In other words, being that you can't go there, the only place you could go is
going into the room. So that means it's a way to go into the room. I have to go out to order to come in. It's a nice high skinny of the gas. Again, big machloikes, but a lot of people who wants to waste mezuzah, I always say for people, if you could afford, put mezuzahs wherever you can. If there is some kind of tzad, that mechiber mezuzah, because again, it's a shmira. If a shmir, it's kedai to pay the extra $100. So a lot of people now would say nowadays will put mezuzah. But again, you cannot say it's mechiber mezuzah, and if a person does not want to put a mezuzah, not mechiber mezuzah. But this is Eiger, Eiger says a. So, and again, I think the Besmayim and other points can go with it. So therefore, in such a case, even though it doesn't have $1, you'll put going into that. And in such a way, even a Chabad will because over here you cannot say that over here you cannot say the whole chesed which we're going to see by Heketzi over here doesn't apply, because their room it's only going into the big room is mechiber mezuzah. So I don't care Heketzi or not. It's only going to be going into the big room and not going into the small room, because the small room is mechiber mezuzah. But again, if you have this room, this is the Sif design. If you have a couple of rooms, the railroad goes one into the other, all of those are mechiber mezuzah. So therefore, if you're going through also a hallway, and through the hallway you're going into a room, although the hallway is small, less than $1, it's still be mechiber mezuzah als by shar, because you're going into that to that room.
So in other words, the room 2 takes on the characteristics of room 1, and then because room 3 passes into room 2, it takes on by extension that same characteristic of room 1.
Exactly. Yeah, and all the rooms will be mechiber mezuzah. If a house which has a room or a house which has a lot of doors, every door in mechiba mezuzah. If it has a door which is made only for going out, it has to be a door which is made to come in and going out. If it is a door which is made only to go out, that means in only emergency. You have sometimes in shuls or houses which the door is off limits. It is only in the case of an emergency is an escape door, and it's made only to go out, and you don't use it coming in. And in most of in these cases, you cannot even come in because it doesn't have a handle to come in. Is meikar then is put is nishbechim b'mezuzah because it's not made leklisa v'yisir. When all other doors are made to Knesset v'Yitzia, but even though you use only one door and the other doors you don't use that much, all the doors are mechiba mezuzah. And there's also a misconception which people have. These people will think, I have one door which I use, so that's the main door. All doors I don't have to make a mezuzah. No, it's only if it's a door which is not made to come in, and it's only made to go out, not made to go in. Only in such a case, it will be put for a mezuzah. Now, he brought up before a nice question, Mr. Abba Berkowitz. When you have a door, which is basically a sliding door. Now, I'm not going to go in and out, but you have one staple. You have a Tzirza Pesach, but one door is basically staple. Yeah, it's you cannot move it. But you have basically it's a glass door. Yeah, one half is staple, the other half it moves. But you have a regular tzirza pesach and a mashkav. So where are you going to put the mezuzah? You're going to put the mezuzah on the mashkav, which is made with the contract made it, or you're going to put it on the staple door, which is not movable. It becomes a wall, and that will be the halacha. If it is a case that you have to put the mezuzah on the way going out, which again we're going to discuss it a little bit further then. But if it is a way it going out, as I mentioned before, depends a closed porch, not a closed porch. If you have a way to come in or another way to come out, then we will say that the staple in the right side will be the staple wall. You are not going to put it on the mezuzah, which is all the way in the side. You are going to put it on the staple door. That is a part of the wall. It may look like a door, but that's a part of the wall. And therefore, yeah, this is what you mentioned before.
Yeah.
When you have a, is this what you asked before?
Yeah.
So, and this will be about all the doors. If you have a door which is two doors and one is open, one is closed, the only one you want to bring in furniture, you open the door, but that's something else.
Yeah.
Then you're going in if it's one big door, if it's not one big door. But if you have one which is a staple, one part of the staple, then you put it on that, although it might look funny by people, but that's the way how to put it on the door, which is staple, because that's a part of the wall, and that's not a part of the door.
Yeah.
So the Mechaber says also that if you have a big door and sometimes in the middle you put some kind of thing to stop it, it should be in the middle, like on what it should land, it should close. That's still considered one door. If it has different Tzirza Pesach, so then we know one is going in, one is going out. But if it doesn't have different Tzirza Pesach, it is only one big door and you have only a piece because you want to be able to lock one, when you don't need it, that's still considered one Pesach. You don't need to have two mezuzahs on it. Just the halacha of soicher bayis. We know the soicher bayis b'chis l'uretz. We have some sifum which we're going to have to come back later, but I just want to finish this halacha because of my minyan ma'ariv. Again, a soicher bayis b'chis l'uretz. A person is soicher bayis b'chis l'uretz. He's put him a mezuzah he's mechiber mezuzah only after 30 days. And it's Yisrael not, because Yeshiva Yisrael, we say that you are going to put right away of a mezuzah if you soich rabbis. But if you soich rabbis if it's not 30 days, you put them in a mezuzah. Or even if you're going into a pundik, that means you're going to a hotel in Eretz Yisrael, although it's in Eretz Yisrael, that's still put them in a mezuzah, only 30 days. Eretz Yisrael, Yeshiva Eretz Yisrael is mechiber miyad because of Yeshiva Eretz Yisrael. Now the Achronim have a nice shala. What is the reason that a soicher has to have 30 days in Chislur in order it should be mechiber mezuzah? Is this the reason because pashtas? It's not a thing that, it's a diras arai. It's a diras arai. So what is if a person knows he moves in, he's going to live longer than that? So some Achronim will say, in such a case, he knows he's going to live longer, but he might decide to move. He has no contract, has no lease. He went into an apartment. He might stay over there longer, but it still goes into halacha v'soicher bayis, b'tach shloshim yoyim, and it is put him in a mezuzah. And that will be the accepted thing, that if a person goes into a house less than 30 days, if it doesn't have a contract, doesn't have a lease, then, because some people do not make leases, so therefore, he shouldn't put a mezuzah. But what is if he has a contract for a year? And so basically he's stuck. He has to live over there for a year. Should you put the mezuzah within the 30 days? And if you could put it with a bracha. So some Achronim like Rav Osner holds that if you sign a contract in a house, you put in a mezuzah right away, and you make a bracha even. You make even a bracha. Again, why? Because the whole reason why a soicher bayis b'chavayra b'chislur is it's a diras arai. Since it's a diras arai, you are not mechiber mezuzah. So since I made a contract and I know I'm going to stay over here for a long while, basically you are mechiber mezuzah, and you should put on a mezuzah within the 30 days. Other person will say no, because after all, chataka is to pay rent for 12 months. Or till the end of the lease, but the Rorav is chayav is to live over there. Yeah, how many? If anybody knows a little bit the commercial real estate, knows that there's blackout stores. Yeah, which basically you made a contract for a ShopRite in a store, and they have to pay rent for the next 10 years, and after 5 years, it doesn't pay them to keep up the store. So what do? They pay rent when it's black, or they rent it out for someone else, or if they can't, they pay rent still. So other person was saying, yeah, you have a lease, but not necessarily you are going to stay over there to live. Still put them in a mezuzah. Why do you bring it? Because the other people will make a mezuzah right away. The minig oilim today's day is that you don't make a bracha within 30 days. And we know minig Chabad is, which the Rebbe writes in the letter, it's printed in Shulchan Menachem, that we're going to a apartment. Even within the 30 days, and even if you sign a lease, you put on a mezuzah, but you don't make a bracha. After all, don't make a bracha. Again, as we mentioned at the beginning of the shiur, whenever you have a suffer, if you need to make, put a mezuzah, you're on it. Over here, you have a legitimate machloikas. If you need to make mepashtas, we would say even they have a lease. So therefore, the minig is that we are putting up a mezuzah right away. After 30 days, we take it down. And we give it to check. Yeah. And then next day we're putting it on again and we make a bracha. And this is the way how it is minig Chabad to do. But why do I mention it? Because if somebody for action's sake he wants to put a mezuzah or by mistake made a mezuzah within the 30 days, you should know it's not a bracha l'vatola. And if he doesn't take it off or the whatever, all this is, then it is if it doesn't take it off to be boidik, then basically he cannot make a bracha afterwards. Because sof kesov, the person which hold that basically you mechiber mezuzah. Now a person which is Rahman Laslan in a old age home or in a hospital more than 30 days, that is not considered a soicher bayis, and you should be mechiber mezuzah, and you will be potem mezuzah in any case, even though if they have, let's say, we have permission to put a mezuzah, you're going to be potter. And the reason is, the Chachamim say, because it's not your apartment. The management, although they gave you a room where you could be there, tomorrow, if they decide they want to change you and they put you in another room, they could just pick you up and move you. So therefore, it's not considered that means it's you rented it, it's yours. It's all the chiyivim. It's koy b'sadar. But if you have it in a old age home or in a hospital or whatever, Rahman Lassan, it is a place, or even if a person is in a hotel room, which basically the toll can decide it that it's not your room, you could always change the room, it will be potter min hamaziza even after 30 days, because it's not considered yours b'chlal. Again, if you want to put on mezuzah in the management, let's you avada get a zach. But according, we're talking about mechiv mezuzah, it's not mechiv mezuzah.
If you buy a house, then you put it right away, right?
If you buy a house, you put it right away, you make a bracha on it. Yes, because that's by according to Bayis.
May I ask a question?
And by the way, this same what we just mentioned is that we could change you has also to do with dormitories. Mechiv mezuzah, not mechiv mezuzah, but in any case, that over here we could say that it's mechiv mezuzah, the management has to put. It's there and they mechiv mezuzah. But other places will say no, but they don't live over there. But again, all these places we're not going to put mechiv mezuzah with a bracha. But one final thing, we just said 30 days. When do you consider 30 days? Now, but pashtus, it is considered 30 days once you move in. So some people will put in, like the Rebbe says, if you want, you should move in that day, as Mama Sigel. So some people would put bread or salt or achitas. And some places will say from then it starts the 30 days. Other places will say that not from then it starts the 30 days, only the day which you're going to sleep. That means once you move in and that night you're going to sleep, you start making the cheshbon of the 30 days. And therefore, when it comes to make a bracha, if you want to make a bracha, it should be the chaladayas, you make the cheshbon only to put the mezuzah once you moved in regularly. In 30 days from then, you can take it off and be boiling and put it back, and you could put that back then with a bracha. So what was the question?
If you own two homes, one you rent out and the other one, so you live in. If you move from the one you live in into the one you rented out, now that becomes your home. The old one you use as storage. What happens with the mezuzahs? Do you take them off? Do you keep them?
First of all, you don't take off mezuzahs. First of all, that's number one. It's a skona poshet in. Second of all, if it's a beisa oitzer, you keep it storage. The chesmachiv als beisa oitzer.
Okay.
So, but if you have a house which is it's only for rented purposes, it's not your chiyuv. It's not the chiyuv of the owner of the house. It's the chiyuv of the person who lives in the house. Therefore, a soicher bais, he has to put the mezuzah and not you. So, for instance, if you have a house which you're going to rent out, and you didn't rent it out yet, it's potem and a mezuzah. You don't have to put that in a mezuzah. Although you own the house, you leave it empty, and when the person will come and move in, he will then put in a mezuzah. It's not your cheshbon. It's choyves hador. It's not choyves habais which owns it. It's choyves hador.
So when the owner moves into that house,
if
so
what?
then he has to put mezuzah right away.
Who? The owner?
If the owner, yeah.
Yeah,
From one
property
property to another.
Yeah, because he owns it. That's owns the house. So therefore, it's not a soiche. It's a koine bai, so to speak. So then, yes, he's mechiv mezuzah, put the mezuzah right away.
Okay. Thank you.
Why? What's the reason that it's only after 30 days if it's not his own house?
Because till then, it's still an arai. It's still considered diras arai. After 30 days, we see in Allah a lot of times when a person comes in a Medina. When is he mechiv to give tzedakah together with all the chiyuv of the Medina? Once he's 30 days, he's called the toisha. A lot of times we see that the Pischa, we see 30 days, you are part of this town, part of this community, so you have to give. You have to be participators. Till then, it's still arai. Same thing is also with rabbis. Still, as long as you, that's why if you move in a French apartment for 2 weeks, you don't have to put mezuzahs, because it's a diras arai. You're going to move out from there, and therefore it's not mechiv mezuzah.
The thing with Rabbi Akiva Eiger, the first thing, that if it's chayiv in the beginning, and then he takes off the door and puts it back. It seems to follow a klal, because you have, like, for example, in Hilchos Eidus, you have a similar thing. If the beginning was in kashrus, the end was in kashrus, then the middle. So, like, let's say he was negaya b'dover, then he got married to somebody, then he got divorced.
Yes,
As long as in the beginning he wasn't negaya, and now he isn't negaya. So it seems to follow a klal.
Yeah,
like
very
this.
nice shishtel. And this is what they say. Tchilus b'kashrus and b'soy b'kashrus, even though a middle is given, correct. That's right. Very, very good. Very nice. Very, very good shishtel. Yeah, he was kosher.
I like to look for klolim that connect things together, because there's a logical train that goes through all these things.
Exactly. The rabbis used to say the Rogachover always was connecting, looking of the Shoyrish Inyan, and to connect two halachas which doesn't look has a shaykhs. If you go delve into the Shoyrish Advurim, then you're going to see it has a connection, which the Rebbe did also, which the Rebbe was a Talmud Muvik of the Rogachover. Yeah, you're right.
Could you say again what the case was?
A goy is not mechiba mezuzah, but if you rent a house from a goy, you're mechiba mezuzah, as I mentioned before, is choyves hador. It's not choyves habayis. So therefore, it may be you rent it from a goy, but you're living in mechiba mezuzah. Now, vice versa. What is if you have a house and you rent it for a goy? It's bottom in a mezuzah because everything is choyves hador. Clear? Okay, so we're going to stop here. We're going to meet again. Mr. Shem going other halachas, which is a sach negaya more menugi Chabad, which we would like to get to it. Okay, and good night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Next time we're looking at what? We're looking at what would it be? Simin Reish Pei Zayin, Simin Reish Sadik Aleph,
Reish Pei Zayin.
and Reish Sadik Aleph.
Yeah, but the Reish Pei Ches, we're not going to learn. It's how to write a mezuzah. That's for Soifrim.
Right? Yeah. So no, here it has just Reish Pei Zayin and Reish Sadik Aleph. It
What?
doesn't have in between here. Just says Reish Pei Zayin, and then it jumps to Reish Sadik Aleph in the booklet.
Reish Pei Zayin, Reish Sadik Aleph?
Yeah.
Reish Pei Ches doesn't say?
No, it doesn't have in here. And here it has Pei Zayin, and then it jumps to Tzadik Aleph.
Okay, I'm gonna speak of Reish Pei Ches because this is a very important halachas.
So maybe
Maybe he meant from Reish Pei Zayin. What?
No, it's not what he meant. It's not that Poshet is not in here. But it's so maybe if you could post on the WhatsApp group which Simonim you're going to talk about. So I mean I have a set of Mishnah Brura. Like I don't need the booklet, but like this we'll know what to.
Yeah. Reish Pei Ches is a very geschmack halacha. Shlisha Elef, Minik Chabad, big doors. Chabad, we shouldn't go it over.
Yeah. So if you can maybe post on the WhatsApp which Simonim you're going to do. This way we can, what's not in the booklet, we can look on our own in the Mishnah Brura.
Good. Yeah, no problem. But again, what time is it? What time is it usually?
7 o'clock. It's 7 to 9.
Because they wrote to me 8 to 10 and
Okay. It's 7 to 9.
7 to 9. Okay, we say the good night.
Okay.
Litraot.
Thank you so much. Yashkev.